New members were Hinata and Masayuki. Those who left were Dagruel and his sons. The discussion was held in an empty conference room. The conclusion was reached that even if the defense forces were reorganized with only the selected elite, there would not be enough strength at all. Judging from the enemy strength projected by Valgrand, there are only a few who can be taken. Of course, they must be of A rank or higher, but they must be specialized in mobility. The reason is simple. To be able to protect themselves. Cryptids are self-regenerating, so it's hard to cut down their strength, but their offensive power is not that great, she said. If you know their habits, you can think of a way to deal with them. This is Valgrand's opinion. However, this is only her opinion because she is a transcendent, and the reality is very different. It is very difficult to reduce their physical strength, and a direct hit from an attack will kill them with a single blow. Even a single graze would seriously injure them. In other words, each and every one of them is as big a threat as a Charybdis. Moreover, they are surprisingly cunning and even swarm together, depending on the situation. It is estimated that there are more than 1,000 such creatures stirring about. By any estimation, the world was in danger. Since they could not take the strategy of setting a trap, driving them into a corner, surrounding them, and then killing them, as the Abera group, who had become the 4 heavenly kings of Melem, had done, it seemed that they could not afford to rescue them, even if there were casualties. Based on this judgment, they had no choice but to limit the number of people they would take as strong. I called Calgurio. Minutes is coming too. We have brought back the Empire's split body so they'll be less protected, but it's better than the world falling apart. Valgrand says. Masayuki nodded in agreement. He and Hinata had joined the meeting. You are very reliable. I'm just protected, but I don't think the attacks will reach around me, so I think I can manage. Recently, Masayuki has been open. He has given up on using his ultimate skill King of Heroes, which is supposed to be his power, and has decided to let his luck take care of itself. I have realized for quite a while now that it would work out better for me. I had been trying to give the impression that I was doing it right, but I realized that it was not the time to waste my time. The reason why I decided to participate this time is not a champion motive. If I didn't do anything, the world would be destroyed. It's no use if I'm the only one who survives. I might as well bet on the possibility of everyone else's survival. This is a very passive reason why I am here. However, it is true that it made everyone's mind relaxed. Regardless of Masayuki's motive, if he only looks at the result of his action, he is undoubtedly a hero himself. And Hinata was also there. Faced with this crisis, she left the Western nations behind and rushed to the scene. I had been patient when I heard the report of Dagruel's advance, but this time was a different story. Because Rimuru was not there. I can't believe he lost. Rimuru was aloof no matter what happened. Just by being there, he made them feel secure. From now on, we can no longer be naive in thinking that he will take care of things. Therefore, Hinata has no choice but to act on her own. I have brought the best of the best with me, leaving the minimum defense forces of each country. If we can't rely on Rimuru, we have to do our best. If we can't protect the place he's coming back to, he'll definitely complain about it. Hinata's expression is stern. Her expression is even more cold and icy than usual. Hinata has lost her composure just because of Rimuru's absence. It was as if Hinata had returned to her old ruthless self, to the extent that those who knew her in the past felt it. Well, it can't be helped. Luminous thought so too, and did not dare to point it out. After he was gone, they were reminded again and again that everyone had relied on Rimuru too much. However, they cannot bemoan all the time. The discussion focused on whether or not to announce this critical situation to the whole world. Since it is predicted that they do not have enough forces, they should call up the main warriors from all over the world. I understand the importance of self-defense, but it is meaningless if the world is destroyed. Luminous argues. To be honest, I don't care what happens to humans. I care only about those I protect, but I really don't care if the number of those who don't respect me will decrease. There will be more of them soon anyway, right? Yes, if they increase. But this crisis is different. The disaster that will come through Heaven's Tower will be the natural enemy of all life forms. If left unchecked, there is no guarantee that human beings will survive. Therefore, Luminous argues that this site should be protected. Regardless of what happens to other human spheres of existence, she believes that they should concentrate all their forces on the front line, which will be the source of the problem. However, the weak are not included in the forces here. She thinks that they should survive on their own. In this way, Luminous made decisions not for the sake of mankind but for her own convenience. However, no one can argue against this. It is because things will not go well only with beautiful words. Since everyone understands this, they are trying to cope with this crisis by placing importance on profit and loss and interests. So, what exactly are you going to do? Hinata asked. Let's be honest here and tell the nations. Luminous answered that they should tell the countries about the coming crisis. If we just make people uneasy, we may not be able to maintain security. she said. But that is not Luminous' concern. It doesn't matter. If you don't trust me, then you're on your own. It's a rhetorical question, but it's also a valid one. If you can't protect everyone, there is no point in making a fuss, so you should at least wait and see. This is the position of the protector. In reality, the human mind will be defeated by fear and anxiety, and a mob will be born. They're well aware of such a situation, but they really cannot afford to devote their valuable forces to such fools. Well, only a certain number of champions are of use to us, so all we have to do is to unite the people with the rest of the champions. That will be difficult, but we have no choice but to let them do it. Hinata agreed, and Lumina's opinion was adopted. Lumina's is to make a speech to the whole world at a moment's notice, but there is no time this time. Normally, the oracle should have notified all the countries, made preparations, and made a solemn speech. This time, however, it was decided to go ahead without notice. For this reason, the image of Luminous suddenly appeared in the sky above each country. It was broadcast simultaneously all over the world. The people who looked up at the sky were surprised. Luminous opens her mouth as if she does not care about such things. Listen, my name is Luminous Valentine. I am a god and demon lord, the ruler of Lubelius. This is the greeting speech, but one can only imagine the shock of those who heard it. A big revelation right from the start. Luminous subordinates were puzzled, wondering what they were going to do to make those who believed in God doubt their faith. There is no time for pleasantries, so I will tell you in a nutshell. The world is now in a state of unprecedented crisis. I will do my utmost to protect my people in the name of God. More than that, I swear to you that I will fight with the pride of the octagram and not run away, as other demon lords do. Luminous dropped the next bullet without the slightest trapping of a smile. Her words were so violent that one might have thought she was trying to provoke a riot. But on the contrary, the people became calmer because they were about to fall into extreme chaos. The beautiful girl who floated in the sky above them showed no sign of lying. Her beauty, which is worthy of being called a goddess, is enough to attract people. There was no one who doubted the words of Luminous. Well, there is no use in running away. We have no choice but to fight because this world is going to be destroyed in the end. I, Luminous Valentine, in my pride as a demon lord, will not turn my back on my enemies. The images change one after another in place of the figure of Luminous who tells us them. Demon Lord Luminous is at the head of the group. Primordial Ultima. Saint Hinata. Hero Masaiki. True Dragon Valgrand. The current image was projected in a flowing manner. They are also my friends who are facing this crisis. Hearing this, the people thought. That's a sure thing, they thought. Especially the residents of Ingratia, who had just seen Masayuki's heroic figure. His absolute good looks were so clear that some of them even wanted to visit him. The name Valgrand means a lot to those who know how bad True Dragon is. Valgrand reigned as a fearsome empress whom even Vildora could not resist. And then, Ultima. Her cuteness and loveliness had been attracting a rapidly growing number of fans all over the world. Fools are fooled by looks, but there must be a problem with Ultima posing prettily, too. Add to that Hinata, and you have the god of Luminism. And with the god of Luminism joining the fray, the natural reaction might be, what's there to lose? Unaware of this, Luminous continued. Even so, it is not enough. Gather together, my brave warriors. There is no future ahead of you if you run away. And even if we survive at the expense of many champions, we will not be able to live proudly in the future. Then, this is the time to show our courage. Lumina's speech was beginning to have an unexpected effect. The audience was mesmerized by Lumina's charm. Those who decide to go for Ultima. Those who are bowled over by Hinata's good looks. Those who cheer at Masayuki's grin. And those who were awed by Valgrand's mysteriousness. In a sense, it was a good decision to show the video. It was a good decision in a sense, because the godliness of the images gave hope to the people, instead of the despair they were expected to feel. To be more precise, it was a crucible of excitement to see the summit beings gathered, as if they were reenacting a myth in this apocalyptic situation. This was, well, an unexpected reaction for those who knew the reality of the situation. However, the people who did not know the nature of the threat had no choice but to be excited by the lineup. The speech reached its climax. Listen, leaders. You are only great because of your people. You are nobles and kings because you live proudly. You cannot run away. Lead your people righteously so that they can stand against the crisis of this world. Those who live their days in ignorance, so be it. Just get out of the way and struggle to live. And lastly, you who are strong, have a place to die. Give your lives so that we may win the victory. It was a speech of a lifetime for Luminous, which will be recorded and passed down to posterity. Luminous concludes with her last words. Victory to us on this planet. We will strive for victory at all costs. This was a declaration to put the wisdom, power, and courage of mankind above all else. The people of the world responded. Knowing the determination of the Luminous champion people, everyone was ready for it. Victory to us. Victory on this planet. There was a roar of cheers from all over the world. It was a frenzy. The cheers of Luminous was no joke. Although she did not make full use of her powers, the human race seemed to have been charmed, and in an instant, they showed their unity. This is the doomsday message of Luminous that has been handed down to posterity. While the frenzy was still high, emergency meetings were held in various countries to discuss the situation in a short period of time. It was decided that the largest possible force, with a minimum of strength, would be dispatched as reinforcements. While Luminous was giving a speech and forces were steadily being gathered, Dagruel was also giving a speech with the surviving Chain Titan army. Dagruel's sons were also called to the front, and the three of them were standing in the front row. Listen. Now that I can't move, I'm giving the command to Dagruel as my deputy. Lyra, Dagruel. Help Dagruel and do your best for the prosperity of the giants. Oh, yes sir. Nodding, Dagruel continues. Warriors of the giants, forgive me for my inadequacy. From now on, think of Dagruel as yourself and obey his orders. This too was met with a shout of ouch. This was met with a chorus so loud that it almost resembled a shout of ooey. And everyone agreed. Dagruel, the legitimate son of Dagruel, was also well liked, even though he was only a deputy until Dagruel was able to move. Don't worry, brother. I'm here for you. I'll protect you and Dagruel no matter what. Saying this, Basar, the four-armed man, patted Dagruel on the back. As his uncle, he declared himself Dagruel's guardian. Dagruel was relieved. At this point, he finally smiled. It does not mean that the relationship between me and Luminous has disappeared, but I have been indebted to him more than I can repay on this occasion. I will keep my past grudges in my heart and look forward to the future. Thanks to Valdor, the land will be restored. The time will come when territorial ambitions will no longer be necessary. Then there will be no more reason to be hostile to Luminous. Fortunately, there were few casualties in this battle. A certain number of those who were dying on both sides were healed by the fertile mysterious wave, fertile paradox, and revived safely. Thanks to this great miracle, there were few lingering doubts. Therefore, they should now look to the future. Dagruel communicates this thought to his sons. Dagruel, you will be a king in time. Do not just follow my opinion, but use your own judgment to decide what is right from now on. The fate of the giants rests on your judgment. Be mindful of that. You too. Dagruel coercioned Dagruel and even Lyra and Dagruel at the same time. The three brothers were scared by this. Yes, father, of course. I'll risk my life to fulfill my duty as acting king. I'll save you too. I promise to live up to your expectations, of course. There was no way they could dare to be cowardly in the face of Dagruel, who was giving off the air that he would not allow them to backslide at this point. The three of them, under pressure, made their vows. And then, we all pray for the return of Dagruel's Sama, and we will serve our country according to the order of Dagruel's Sama. Understanding Dagruel's defeat, Baldor's salvation, and Luminous' warm-heartedness, the elite of the Chain Titan army obeyed Dagruel's decision without question. Dagruel watched and nodded his head in satisfaction. I am sorry that I will not be able to witness this war, but it seems that we are running out of time. I believe there is a future and we go to sleep. The rest is in your hands, Dagruel. Now, farewell. With these words, the Dagruels were sucked into the tree and disappeared. They were to go into a long sleep in order to regenerate the land and their own bodies. Thus, the rebellion of Dagruel's army was settled. At the same time, the Chain Titan army also participated in the final battle. Thus, a large force is gathered from all over the region. Those who could not make it to the defense are not counted as a part of the force from the beginning. The fact that they are here now proves that all of them are strong, 100,000 strong men. The highlight of the battle was the Pegasus Knights, led by champion Gazald Wargo with 500 cavalrymen. I can't be concerned only with my own country if I'm told like that, Gazald Wargo said bitterly. Despite his words, his eyes were full of motivation. He was inspired by the knowledge that he was the one to protect his apprentice Rimuru's absence. Hinata leads the 300-member Holy Knight Order. Defend yourselves to the death. Even if you die, Luminous will bring you back to life. The members nodded their heads in delight at this seemingly impossible order. Since everyone is a Holy Knight of over A rank, their fearless attitude toward even death is both bizarre and encouraging. Pope Rui leads the Bloody Knights of less than 400 members. His sacred vestments were so striking that he also served as a portable shrine. There are 100 new Imperial Guardians, led by Calgurio with Minutes as his second-in-command. As the Guardians of Masayuki, they were ready to defend the city with an ironclad formation. The main force is made up of over 1,000 elite warriors selected from the Chain Titan army. Dagruel, the acting king, would be the commander-in-chief, but he would be assisted by Basar, who seemed to be in good hands. In addition, there were about 500 champions from various countries. Among the champions Yaum, there were Myron Grusius and Raisin. Sarah and Grigori, former members of the three martial sages, temporarily returned to fight along with 30 master rooks. Sarah and Grigori were scared when they saw Hinata, but they did not run away, which showed that they had some spirit. Since the champions lack cohesion, they are a team of those who are close to each other or who know each other. The hierarchical relationship seemed to have been established immediately due to the power relationship based on name recognition. Thus, although hastily prepared, a defense force of the most elite of the elite was formed. The total number of members was a little less than 3,000. The best possible force was assembled, all of whom were of the highest air rank class. Luminous looked around the army deployed around Heaven's Tower, and muttered with deep emotion. It is a magnificent sight, but she wonders how many of them will survive. Whether the champion dies is of no concern to Luminous. Still, she was concerned because each of them had a spark of genuine soul in their hearts. Standing next to Luminous was Xian, who had made a full recovery. She seemed to be in high spirits. When she woke up from the fertility paradox of Valdor, Xian was in an incomplete state. This was proof that Xian's magicule had increased to such an extent that even her madcap powers could not recover. No problem. As long as you don't die. Luminous wondered on what basis she could make such a statement. No, Xian had no evidence, and she did not even believe it was a hope. She is saying, it should be so, it must be so. She is simply expressing her feelings with an irrational violence of thought. Luminous likes Xian in this way. There is no use in being pessimistic. Luminous herself thinks that it is better to scatter with hope for the future than to die in despair. Anyway, she was curious about the conversation between Xian and Adalman. Yes, you can use Immortal Legion as a decoy. Oh, that's impossible. Why not? Actually, I think I've been incarnated. After hearing that, Luminous looked at Adalman carefully. Indeed, he had incarnated. She knew that he had merged with Wenti during the battle with Fen, but she had assumed that he had remained the same. However, she was wrong. The mini-dragon on Adalman's shoulder was a modified version of Wenti. In other words, Adalman had graduated from the skeleton in its original state. And it seems to have been applied not only to Adalman, but to the whole Immortal Legion. It was the effect of Valdor's fertility paradox. It seems that the undead were judged as an anomaly and restored to their original state. How is that possible? Even Ultima, who didn't seem to be interested in the subject, was not so sure. Since even the primordial demon was surprised, it seems to be an anomaly for sure. Anyway, it is a matter of opinion whether it is a good thing that they are no longer immortal or not, but in that case, those who are less than A rank are not enough to be a force to be reckoned with. They were asked to work behind the scenes, guiding the people of the holy city and the giants to evacuate, distributing meals, and so on. There are only a few days left before the war begins. Thus, preparations are steadily being made.